Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk, back another video day. And today, we're going to be talking about what it looks like a potential trade for Brandon Aiyuk to be sent to the New England Patriots, and this will be very interesting. And now it is up to Brandon Aiyuk to decide if he's going to be a New England Patriot or a Cleveland Brown. Trying to think about where I'd like to see Brandon Aiyuk go, because it has been reported by NBC Sports Bay Area that the San Francisco 49ers have negotiated the frameworks of potential trades with both the Cleveland Browns and the New England Patriots, and it's now up to the star wideout and his camp to choose his next contract. The 49ers have reportedly accepted what the Browns and Patriots offered for Aiyuk, so these are done deals. Now it's just up to Brandon, and now it comes down to the money. The report indicates the 49ers could receive a veteran wide receiver and a package of picks in return for their number one wideout. That's what makes things interesting, and I believe in the New England trade. I looked at and talked about the potential Cleveland trade in another video. Go check that out if you want to. I'll put that at the end of this video. But I thought if a wide receiver and draft picks are headed to San Francisco in the Cleveland trade, I said it's most likely probably Elijah Moore and draft picks, and a haul of draft picks for Brandon Aiyuk with Cleveland. Now with New England, I really don't know. I think it'd be funny if it was Kendrick Bourne. With Kendrick Bourne was a guy who was wanting this deal to get done. He was kind of recruiting a little bit for Brandon Aiyuk, wanting him to come to New England, and now he could be a part of this deal. I mean, that's a guy I think potentially you could see the 49ers interested in. I don't know if I see the Patriots trading Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, I think that he could be involved. We'll see if he is a guy that is involved. I don't see them trading away the guy they just signed in KJ Osborne. I don't think there's anybody else that San Francisco would really be interested in. So maybe with New England, it's just the draft picks. But if it was Kendrick Bourne, that would be kind of funny, because Kendrick Bourne would be returning to his former team. Maybe he knew what he was doing by kind of recruiting Brandon Aiyuk to the 49ers, or to the Patriots. Maybe he's trying to go back to the 49ers. He was drafted by the 49ers and spent 4 seasons with them from 2017 through 2020. He could be a guy that's involved in this trade with draft picks to send Aiyuk to New England. And that's the only option I really see, because I don't see Juju Smith-Schuster or KJ Osborne being involved, or potentially maybe it's just draft picks. But I'd like to see Brandon Aiyuk in New England. I really don't mind either or, New England or Cleveland. I think Cleveland's a scarier team in the AFC with Aiyuk than the Patriots would be with Aiyuk. That's something I think about as a Texans fan. The threats, I don't think the Patriots are a threat to the Texans. Just thinking as a Texans fan, I don't think the Patriots are a big threat to the Texans if they add in Aiyuk, compared to if the Browns have Brandon Aiyuk, is the way I'm thinking. But as a Texans fan as well, even though I have not been a bigger fan of Deshaun Watson in the last couple of years after what happened, the way he left Houston, the incidents that happened, the alleged things that happened. I'm not going to talk about what, everybody listening knows what I'm talking about, with, what he got in trouble for. I still loved watching Deshaun Watson play in Houston. He was one of the first quarterbacks I watched, in a Texans uniform that, made me enjoy Texans football every week, and was really the first Texans quarterback I watched that gave me excitement watching the Texans. I had watched a couple Texans quarterbacks before that. I'd been around for Brock Osweiler and Tom Savage's season before, and of course the 2017 season in Deshaun Watson's rookie year when he tore his ACL. There was 1 billion quarterbacks that played for the Texans that year. It was horrendous. So there was a couple seasons where it was quarterback after quarterback. Poor DeAndre Hopkins was he was going through it, because he had so many quarterbacks throwing the ball to him in 2016, 2017, the year before Deshaun got there, and the year Deshaun got there but tore his ACL. But I loved watching Deshaun in Houston, and he was one of the first quarterbacks that, made me excited to watch Texans football. I wouldn't say he was the, first quarterback that made me fall in love with football, because honestly, I would probably say that's Tom Brady, but, with Texans football, I was like, okay, we got a real quarterback now. And I honestly was upset with the way things ended with Deshaun in Houston, but he is a guy, even though I want to see the Texans have success with the trade they made, ultimately, even though he made some mistakes, I still think he's a good guy, deep in the heart. And I've seen this guy emotional when getting a big contract. I've seen his emotions. He's a good guy. And even though people will joke around, he's a good quarterback, even though he's had some struggles in the last couple of years, and he's a good guy, even though he's made mistakes. And I'd like to see him have success, but I don't know if I want that to be on the cost of my team, because the Browns are a threat. They're a threat if they add in Brandon Aiyuk. Because if they had in Brandon Aiyuk, their offense is already scary and their defense is top-notch. Imagine their offense adding in Aiyuk, because their offense would be Amari Cooper, Brandon Aiyuk, and Jerry Jeudy as the wide receivers. Jerry Jeudy being basically the wide receiver 2 for the Broncos last year, and at times the wide receiver 1 would now be the wide receiver 3. Amari Cooper, who was the wide receiver 1 for Cleveland last year and did a great job, having one of the best seasons of his career, would now be the wide receiver 2. And Aiyuk, who had 1,300 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns last year, would be the wide receiver 1. And they also would have David Njoku, who I believe is a top 5 tight end in football. I think if you look outside of the top names like Mark Andrews, George Kittle, and Travis Kelce, I think David Njoku is right with them in the top 5 tight ends, if you ask me. And also, if you look outside of Christian McCaffrey, the current running back that Brandon Aiyuk has played with, I think Nick Chubb is the second best running back in football. So this would be a stacked offense for Brandon Aiyuk to be a part of, and also Deshaun Watson to have. Now I want to get to New England side of it, though, because for a rookie quarterback like Drake May, this would be a nice wide receiver core that he would have going into his rookie season, assuming that let's say it's just draft picks. He's coming in. He has Brandon Aiyuk. He has Juju Smith-Schuster. He has Kendrick Bourne. He has KJ Osborne and Jalen Polk, who they drafted. Now, let's just say, and I think most likely this probably happens, let's say Kendrick Bourne and draft picks get sent to the San Francisco 49ers, which honestly I think that's what would happen. Then the Patriots would have, Juju Smith-Schuster, Brandon Aiyuk, Jalen Polk, and KJ Osborne. That's not a bad wide receiver room right there. You're improved adding in Brandon Aiyuk, which would be great. Also, you're improved adding in KJ Osborne. KJ Osborne's a guy who had a great season last year, 500 receiving yards. I think he would have more of an impact for a Patriots offense than he did than he did with Minnesota last year, playing with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, so I think he'd be great for the New England offense. Also, Jalen Polk is a guy from Washington who I think is a really good, promising wide receiver. Of course, Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think Juju would have a great year with New England, but I think he'd have a better year than he had last year, having a quarterback upgrade with Drake May. I don't know how Drake May will do in his rookie year, but honestly, with what we saw from Mac Jones last year, I think he'd be better than Mac Jones. Now, honestly, this is not me saying that the Patriots should have kept Mac Jones or given him another chance. But if the Patriots add in Brandon Aiyuk, I'd love to see Mac Jones with the wide receiver core they would have now. Because you'd have Aiyuk, who is a star wide receiver, which is something that Mac Jones never had in his years in New England. You'd have Juju Smith-Schuster at wide receiver. You'd have KJ Osborne at wide receiver 2. He's a guy that had 530 receiving yards last season, next to the best wide receiver in the NFL, Justin Jefferson, and another great wide receiver in Jordan Addison. So he'd be a great wide receiver for the Patriots as well. He's already on the team. You'd have Juju Smith-Schuster, who would be the wide receiver 3 for this Patriots offense, when he was the wide receiver 1 basically last year. So that's great. And then you draft a stud from Washington and Jalen Polk. If Mac Jones had Brandon Aiyuk, KJ Osborne, Jalen Polk, and also Juju Smith-Schuster and a good defense, I think Mac Jones would have a different season last year than what we saw if he had that offense. So I'm excited to see what Drake May could do with the Patriots if they add an Aiyuk when they already have KJ Osborne, Jalen Polk, and Juju Smith-Schuster and a good defense. Let me know your thoughts on the Patriots potentially trading for Aiyuk in the comment section, and peace out.